Welcome back to Her Story, Black History Month, brought to you by Salty Vixen. This February we're honoring the fierce, the forgotten, and the fearless women who built the foundation, broke the barriers, and carried the torch when no one else would. Today we turn the spotlight on one of the most powerful architects of education, equality and empowerment in American history, Mary McLeod Bethune. Born in 1875 to formerly enslaved parents in a South Carolina cotton field, Mary Jane McLeod rose from picking 250 pounds of cotton a day as a child to become an educator, civil rights leader, founder of Bethune-Cookman University, and a trusted advisor to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Known as the First Lady of the Struggle, she advised FDR through the Black Cabinet, shaped New Deal programs that lifted black youth, co-founded the National Council of Negro Women, sat on the U.S. delegation that helped draft the United Nations Charter, and never stopped insisting that education was the key to unlocking dignity, opportunity, and justice for every child, especially black girls. She once said, "I leave you love, I leave you hope. I leave you the challenge of developing confidence in one another." It's 1875, deep in the heart of South Carolina. The Civil War is over, but freedom is still a fragile promise. Reconstruction is crumbling. In a tiny log cabin near Maysville, a baby girl arrives, the 15th of 17 children born to Samuel and Patsy McLeod. Her parents had been enslaved their entire lives. Now, as sharecroppers, they were still bound to the same cotton fields. But this child, Mary Jane, was the first in her family born free. From the time she could walk, she was in those fields. By 9 years old, she was harvesting 250 pounds of cotton a day. Imagine carrying a small refrigerator on your back, hour after hour under a merciless sun. Her hands blistered, her back screamed, but her mind was alive with questions. She watched white children walking to school with books and slates, and something fierce ignited inside her. Why not me? That question refused to die. At 11, a missionary named Emma Jane Wilson opened a one-room school for black children, the Trinity Presbyterian Mission School. Mary walked 5 miles each way, every single day. She drank in reading, writing, arithmetic like they were oxygen. She came home and taught her younger siblings by lamplight, turning their cabin into a secret classroom. Her grandmother Sophie told stories of survival and resistance under slavery, and Mary listened wide-eyed, heart-pounding. "The whole world opened up to me when I learned to read," she would say years later. And once the world opened, she was determined to step through the door. Poverty never let go, but her brilliance did not go unnoticed. A white Quaker woman, Mary Chrisman, heard about this extraordinary girl and paid for her scholarship to Scotia Seminary in North Carolina, now Barber Scotia College, from 1888 to 1894. There, Mary didn't just study, she transformed. Presbyterian ideals of service, faith, and community sank deep into her spirit. She dreamed of becoming a missionary in Africa. When she graduated and applied, the mission board refused. "We don't send colored people there." Rejection strung like fire, but instead of letting it consume her, she turned it inward. She would build the mission right here in America for her own people. She enrolled at Moody Bible Institute in Chicago, becoming its first black student, and emerged with faith forged into unbreakable resolve. By 1898, she was teaching at Haynes Normal and Industrial Institute in Augusta, Georgia. There she met Albertus Bethune, another teacher, charming, ambitious. They married, welcomed a son, Albert, in 1899. Life felt settled, but Mary's vision was too big for settled. Florida was changing. Railroads brought black families south for jobs. In 1904, at age 29, she moved to Daytona Beach with $1.50 in her pocket, her young son, and a dream that refused to shrink. She rented a rundown cottage next to a garbage dump. 5 little black girls showed up for class on the first day. That was her student body. She improvised everything: ink from mashed elderberries, pencils charred from the fire, mattresses stuffed with Spanish moss. To buy books and chalk, she baked sweet potato pies and sold them door to door. She knocked on doors of black churches and white philanthropists alike, James Gamble of Procter & Gamble, Thomas White of the sewing machine fortune. They gave. The community gave labor, time, hope. By 1918, the school had real buildings: Faith Hall, a chapel, even a small hospital to serve the underserved. Enrollment soared. In 1923, she merged it with a boys' school, creating Daytona Cookman Collegiate Institute. By 1931, it was Bethune-Cookman College. She served as president for decades, turning it into an accredited 4-year institution by 1941. Today, Bethune-Cookman University stands as a beacon, graduating leaders in every field, all from $1.50, $5 girls, and a woman who believed education could rewrite destiny. But Mary never stopped at one school. She was building a nationwide movement. In 1912, she joined the National Association of Colored Women. By 1917, she led the Florida chapter. When the 19th Amendment passed in 1920, giving women the vote, black women in the South faced poll taxes, literacy tests, and Klan terror. Mary paid the taxes, tutored the tests, organized registration drives. Death threats came. She kept going. Nationally, she became NACW president in 1924. Then, in 1935, she created something entirely new, the National Council of Negro Women. She united 28 separate organizations into one powerful voice, eventually 800,000 members strong. They fought for jobs, housing, military integration for black women during World War II, an end to segregation in churches and public life. She wrote columns for black newspapers, hosted strategy sessions, demanded change. Her friendship with Eleanor Roosevelt became legendary. They met over tea at the White House, exchanged letters, confided in each other. Eleanor called her one of the most influential people she'd ever known. Mary called Eleanor her closest friend. In 1932, Mary campaigned tirelessly for Franklin D. Roosevelt. Black voters helped tip key states. FDR won, and remembered. In 1936, he appointed her director of the National Youth Administration's Division of Negro Affairs, the first black woman to head a federal agency. She joined the informal Black Cabinet, advising on how to make New Deal programs reach black communities. She funneled millions into black colleges, job training, youth programs. Over 300,000 young black people gained skills: nurses, pilots, mechanics. The roots of the Tuskegee Airmen trace back to her work. She walked into rooms of power and spoke plainly. We must have jobs for our boys and girls. She fought for anti-lynching legislation, fair wages, abolition of poll taxes. Presidents listened. Her personal life carried scars. Her marriage to Albertus ended by 1907. He left and she raised their son alone while mothering hundreds of students. Health problems, high blood pressure, heart trouble dogged her, yet she never slowed. In 1945, President Truman sent her to San Francisco as the only black woman on the U.S. delegation drafting the United Nations Charter. She insisted human rights language include everyone. She traveled as an emissary to Liberia, received Haiti's highest honor. In 1955, at 79, she suffered a fatal heart attack in her Daytona home. 5,000 people filled her funeral. Presidents, educators, everyday people mourned the woman who had changed the nation. Her last will and testament left no fortune, only wisdom. I leave you love. I leave you hope. I leave you the challenge of developing confidence in one another. This kind of confidence will aid the economic rise of the race, by bringing together the intelligence and experience of the many rather than a few. Now let's bring this home to 2026. Why does Mary McLeod Bethune still speak so powerfully to women today? Because she proves you can start ridiculously small and build something enormous. $1.50. $5 girls. A shack by a dump. That's your version of the side hustle in a bedroom, the non-profit launched from a kitchen table, the community group born in group chat. In an economy that feels stacked against women, especially black women, she reminds us the seed doesn't need to look impressive, it just needs to be planted with unshakable belief. She mastered alliance building before LinkedIn existed. The National Council of Negro Women is still active in 2026, advocating for voting rights, maternal health, climate justice. She showed that real power comes from lifting others as you rise, mentoring, collaborating, creating tables where everyone eats. Today's sister circles, women's investment groups, mutual aid networks. They carry her DNA. She faced racism and sexism simultaneously and refused to shrink. White gatekeepers doubted her credentials, men in power dismissed her ideas. She walked in anyway, head high, voice steady. For every woman battling imposter syndrome, microaggressions, or online hate in 2026, Mary is living proof. Your ambition is not too big. Claim the room. If they won't give you a seat, build your own institution. Education was her weapon of choice. Head, hand, heart, knowledge, skills, character. In an age of student debt, book bans, and attacks on inclusive curricula, her model endures. Educate girls, especially black girls, and you change generations. Moms fighting for better schools, teachers resisting censorship, women reskilling mid-career. They walk in her footsteps. Above all, she turned pain into purpose. Lost marriage, health crises, death threats, financial strain. She carried it all and alchemized it into progress. Without struggle, there is no progress, she echoed Douglas. But she added her own light, make the struggle sacred. In a time when burnout is epidemic and Black women still shoulder disproportionate emotional labor, her story validates the grind while reminding us rest is resistance and so is refusing to quit. Her statue stands in the US Capitol, the first Black woman honored there. Her home in Daytona is a national historic landmark. The national council she founded still convenes powerful women, and her words, they land fresh every time. Invest in the human soul. Where there is no vision, people perish. Sisters, in 2026, as we mark another Black History Month, Mary McLeod Bethune isn't just history. She's strategy. She's permission. She's the reminder that one woman with $1.50 and relentless faith can rewrite what's possible. So whatever you're building, whether it's a business, a family, a movement, or simply your own piece, pick up your version of that $1.50. Plant it, protect it, grow it, because Mary did. And the world is still better because she refused to wait for someone else to open the door. That's our story for today. Mary McLeod Bethune, the First Lady of the struggle. Her legacy isn't behind us, it's walking with us.